Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Mirror Dungeon solo video. Today we'll be using the single most overpowered identity in the entire game, Heishou Mao Faust. In a game with characters like Manager Don Quixote and Wild Hunt Heathcliff, being called the most overpowered identity in the game is quite high praise, and she will likely remain that way for a very long time. And by very long time, I of course mean a few weeks until we get Hong Lu's identity. So what makes her so strong exactly? The answer is actually quite simple. She's a Rupture identity. She is the single strongest Rupture identity in the game, and with her introduction, Rupture is finally able to compete at its maximum potential. For the most part, Mao Faust can be described as a stronger version of Mao Ryoshu. Most of their conditionals are identical, with both of them playing with Rupture in almost exactly the same way. As long as they're winning clashes, they're both Rupture count neutral, and if they have 10 plus speed, which is easily achievable by simply using their defense skill once, they become absurdly count positive. However, Faust has exactly 3 things going for her that Ryoshu distinctly lacks. First and foremost is the introduction of the new assist defense ability. She can activate it by using either her skill 3 or counter skill, and it allows Faust to clash against an unopposed attack targeting one of her allies. However, it is worth noting that it will not activate if said ally used a defense skill. Most of the time this probably won't matter, but for Rupture teams where you use a lot of defense skills, it's worth keeping in mind. The second aspect of her kit that puts her above the rest is her unique status effect, Tianjiu Star's Blade. How she gains this status effect is quite simple. Whenever someone triggers a death right effect, she gains a stack, and whenever she uses her assist defense, she gains 5. It's effectively a version of Unique Charge that once she reaches 10 of, her skill 3 gets a massive power spike. It gets an extra coin power, a new death right effect that inflicts bind, and most interestingly, a guaranteed crit for the entire skill. If that was all the Starblade did though, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting as it also serves to power up her assist defense. Once she reaches 10, instead of using a simple clashable guard, she will instead use her upgraded skill 3. This is perhaps the single most important part of her kit, as it means the moment she reaches 10 Starblade, she can effectively spam her skill 3 every single turn afterwards, because her skill 3 triggers enough death right to give her 5, and then she gets another 5 because it's an assist defense. While she's not the only identity who can effectively spam their skill 3, there is nobody as good at it as her. And that of course brings us to the elephant in the room. The one bastard child who you can never forget about no matter how badly you want to. Talisman Sinclair. The reason I bring him up is because his support passive triggers on the ally with the most HP. Now, ignoring K-Corp Hong Lu, who's not a real Rupture identity, the previous Rupture character who had the most HP out of all of them was Deviat Rodion. The main strategy when it came to Rupture was to give her 2 skill slots and activate Sinclair's passive to build up around a 40 potency Rupture stack that you could very easily keep alive afterwards. The only reason I'd consider this to be balanced is because Rodion's conditionals make it quite difficult for her to build the stack any further beyond that. So of course some absolute giga chat over at Project Moon's headquarters decided, hey, what if we create the single strongest Rupture unit in the game, and also give her the most HP out of all of them so she can consistently trigger Talisman to stack on her. So in summary, Mao Faust has an extremely spammable 4-coin skill 3 that not only does a ton of damage, but also is incredibly Rupture count positive. She also has the highest HP out of every viable Rupture identity, enabling her to activate Talisman and give said skill 3 insane potency infliction as well. Deviat Rodion could barely manage a 40 potency stack, meanwhile Mao Faust is out here building 2 separate stacks simultaneously. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, she also solves Rupture's biggest problem of being unable to build it on multiple enemies just by being able to spam her skill 3 every turn and always have Talisman on her. Genuinely, what the fuck is this character? She's stupid. She's beyond stupid. I literally managed to shave 15 full turns off my Refraction Railway turn count without even trying, just by using her. This character is not balanced in the slightest, and I honestly don't know how to feel about it. Anyway, that's enough ranting about Rupture for me. Going back to the run itself, we start off by taking these starter buffs and find these ego gifts on the first floor of Dregs of the Manor before making it to the boss against the Dead Rabbits. Being the most overpowered identity in the game, obviously Mao Faust would have little trouble soloing the hardest first floor in the Mirror Dungeon, and for the most part that is true. I legitimately made it to the boss with almost no issues. The main reason why, though, had little to do with the actual identity and more so the fact that she fuels Faust's base ego. When it comes to the Dead Rabbit's boss, though, it's not so simple. Faust's base ego doesn't do enough to stagger the rabbits, and being fatal to blunt damage, we get staggered and killed before we can even do anything. Because I was unlucky and didn't find any ego resource generating gifts along the way, we have to use Superbia in order to use Fluid Sac to stagger the rabbit minions, after which the boss falls in a matter of seconds. We take Resolution and Mana Shape Music Box for our reward before heading into Emotional Indolence for the next floor. Here we find Greycoat and buy Blue Zippo Lighter and Carmilla before making it to the boss against the Steam Transport Machine. This robot is fairly difficult due to him having both blunt damage and a metric ton of paralysis. Getting staggered is almost inevitable because of all the blunt damage, and the paralysis turns every clash into a 50-50. Thankfully, because of the music box, the stagger does nothing, and by simply getting a little lucky, the paralysis also poses no issue. Normally, after you manage to deal with the paralysis, the next biggest problem the transport machine throws at you is him being resistant to almost everything once you destroy his body. Unfortunately for him, though, we do too much damage, and his main gimmick never even gets the opportunity to activate before we defeat him.
일단 후퇴하고 머리를 굴리든 스스로 생각하십시오.
직원들의 체력이 얼마 남지 않았네요. 불가 위야 막아내지 못하리. 틈끊어 바로 달빛조차 잘려나갈 올곧은 하나. 훌륭한 한수 배웠네.
그 부위가 제일 거치적거릴 것이라는 걸 알고 나서나 파우스트 씨.
이제 깨우치시게.
We take the Voracious Hammer and Late Bloomer's Tattoo for our reward before heading into a certain world for the next floor. Here we buy Standard Duty Battery and Emerald Elytra before making it to the boss against Nelly. The only thing that really makes Nelly any difficult is that on turn 3 she uses an instant stagger skill and follows it up by using another that does enough damage it could easily kill you. This of course means that if you have enough damage to stagger her before turn 3, that she does basically nothing. Take a wild guess what we're capable of doing.
저 개체가 기세등등해 보여요. 조금 주의하며 세보는 게 좋을 것 같아요.
막아내지 못하리.
올바른 방법으로 개체에게 일격을 가할 겁니다. 이것은 바로 정보의 힘입니다.
저기, 저 개체부터 처리하면 편할 것 같아요.
불가 위야 막아내지 못하리. 직원들이 우세한 환경에 있습니다. 위야 관리자님이 제 말을 집중해서 듣고 있었다는 결과겠죠. 이런 과정들을 통틀어 신뢰라고 부른다고 하거든요. 긍정적인 변화네요. 이제 깨우치시게.
We take the Chief Butler's Secret Arts and Nebulizer for our reward before heading into the Evil Defining for the next floor. Here we buy Thunder Branch and an extra skill 3 before making it to the boss against Ahab.
때가 왔다, 선원들이여! 자, 너를 깎아내라!
Even though Ahab does blunt damage in her first phase, it's not nearly enough to ever actually stagger us. We also have more than enough damage to deplete her entire health bar in a single turn for each phase, and don't have to worry about taking any damage at all outside of the first couple of turns. The only exception is, of course, Ahab's counter skill in our third phase. But seeing as we aren't fatal to pierce damage, not even that is capable of posing a threat to us. As such, we can blitz through this entire fight with absolutely no issues whatsoever.
네 차례. 위대해질 수.
좋아. 얼른 끝내고 밥 먹으러 가자고. 불가 위야. 막아내지 못하리.
저런 광대 노름은 압도적인 힘 앞에서 그저 넘짓거리일 뿐입니다. 당신은 커다란 힘이군.
막아내지 못하리. 틈을 끊어. 바로 유용하군요. 유용하군요. 달빛조차 살려 올곧은 하나. 훌륭하군. 한 수 배웠네.
땅이 떨리고 있어. 가름도 흔들흔들.
불가 위야. 막아내지 못하리. 틈을 끊어. 바로 틈을 끊어. 바로
승객이 딱콩 한 방 먹였어.
지시겠.
너무 세게 맞은 건 아닌데.
We take the hag's leg and a duplicate for our reward, while also receiving 4-leaf clover as a bonus, before heading into time-killing time for the next floor. Here we buy Deathseeker and Barbed Lasso, while also fusing the Guiding Gas Lamp, Broken Greatsword, and Sundered Memory, before making it to the boss against the Time Ripper. This fight is just as easy as all the rest. The Time Ripper's main gimmick comes in the form of having really high clash power, but fighting him this early means that even with that, our own clash power is still substantially higher. On top of this, even though he resists slash damage, it doesn't really matter, as we're more than capable of instantly staggering every one of his parts with only a single skill 3. Simply put, he just needed more time to be a threat.
불가 위야. 막아내지 못하리. 틈을 끊어. 바로. 과연 저자에게는 그런 틈새가 적절했겠군. 좋은 수였다고 보네.
저런 광대 노름은 벽이군.
불가 위야. 막아내지 못하리. 틈을 끊어. 바로.
그 부위가 제일 거치적거릴 것이라는 걸 알고 나섰나.
틈을 끊어. 바로 유용하군요. 적에게 치명상을 입혔군요. 관리자님은 당신이 생각하는 것보다 대단한 능력을 갖추고 있다고 제가 늘 말씀드렸죠. 저는 언제나 옳은 말만 한답니다. 불가 위야. 막아내지 못하리. 참 유용하군요.
너무 세게 맞은 건 아닌데.
시원한 스윙! 스트레스가 저 멀리 날리지 않나요? 개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나가서 괴로워하는 게
느껴지지 않아?
개체에게 큰
이
피해를
기세로 계속 나아가보자.
We take the faded watch case and a duplicate for a reward before heading into the infinite procession for the next floor. Here we buy another skill 3 and fuse clear mirror calm water before making it to the boss against the bloodfiend trio. This fight is only slightly trickier than all the rest because we start the fight fatal to both gluttony and lust damage. Ultimately though, it doesn't really mean much as we can easily turn it off by using any random ego of our choosing, and even that is somewhat pointless as we can just stagger both Dulcinea and the Barber with a single skill 3. It does at the very least save us from being staggered and having to rely on the music box, which is always a nice bonus, but yeah, using an ego doesn't really do anything and this fight is super easy.
족발을 맛있게 먹었나 보군. 지가 서려 있는 모습이 흡족합니다.
저건 타당한 거야.
네?
불가
정말
위야 막아내지 못하리.
너무 세게 맞은 건 아닙니까?
좋아하는 스트레스가 저 멀리 나랑 같이 안 되나요?
상담에서 알려준 대로 잘했어.
감내해야 할 고통입니다.
다가오지 마라. 아름다운 가시가 잔뜩 피어나. 불가 위야 막아내지 못하리.
감내해야 할 고통입니다.
바로 이 개체의 유효한 속성을 정확하게 간파했습니다. 이제 제 예상만큼 관리자님의 능력이 우수하다는 것이 증명되는 것 같아. 다행이군요. 한수 배우님. 적에게 치명상을 입혔군요. 관리자님은 당신이 생각하는 것보다 대단한 능력을 갖추고 있다고 제가 늘 말씀드렸죠. 저는 언제나 옳은 말만 한답니다. 바로 이제 깨우치시게.
와, 엄청난 공격이었어. 기념할 만한 걸.
We take the mask of the parade and a duplicate for our reward before heading into the heartbreaking for the next floor. Here we fuse lunar memory and buy the broken revolver as well as eclipse of scarlet moths before making it to the boss against not Heathcliff and friends. This is, yet again, another super easy fight. Are you guys sensing a theme yet? Cause I sure am. With the exception of turn 2, where we have to target Josephine to prevent her from straight up killing us, we can focus entirely 100% on Heathcliff himself and be able to defeat him in as little as 3 turns.
직원들에게 유리한 상황 같아요.
불가
이 상황에 개체를 제압하는 데 이용할 수 있을지도.
바로
깨달음을 얻으셨군.
모자를 쓰고 있는 할비에겐 방망이 대신 풍선칼이 정답이에요.
이제 깨우치시게.
개체에게 치명적인 손상을 입히는 데 성공했습니다. 앞으로의 전투도 이대로만 부탁드리겠습니다.
막아내지 못하리. 바로
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠?
바로 절묘한 한압이었고 이제 깨우치시게.
We take the refraction glass pod and charred disc for a reward before heading into nocturnal sweeping for the next floor. Here we buy these strange glyph inscriptions and talisman, as well as hair stride before making it to the boss against the sweepers. If you were expecting this fight to be anything less than absurdly easy, then you haven't been watching the video. Literally, the only turns that could pose a threat are the first 2, but of course that's what egos are for, and by using only a couple, we can get enough skill slots to defeat every sweeper with only a single attack. The actual hardest part of this fight was trying to avoid activating K-Corp Honglu's support passive more than once, otherwise I could have just win rated through the entire fight.
막아내지 못하리. 이 전투는 승리할 거야.
개체에게 치명적인 손상을 입히는 데 성공했습니다. 앞으로의 전투도 이대로만 부탁드리겠습니다.
이제 깨우치시게.
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여나갔어. 괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 이 기세로 계속 나아가보자.
불가 위압 마감하지 못하리. 이제 깨우치시게.
대성공이야. 가령 신나.
깨우치시게.
노래 부를까? 오, 기운이 솟는다, 단테. 가서 빨리 때려 눕히자고.
마감하지 못하리. 이제 깨우치시게.
완벽한 한방. 시원한걸? 우와, 하루도 깜짝.
불가 위압 마감하지 못하리. 이제 깨우치시게.
승객이 딱콩 한 방 먹었어.
이제 깨우치시게. 이제 깨우치시게.
와, 엄청난 공격이었어. 기념할 만한걸?
이제 깨우치시게.
그래, 그렇게 시원하게 처리해.
이제
보는
깨우치시게.
맛이 나는군.
제압 개체에게 큰 피해를 준 것 같아.
덜 답.
기후팀의 직원다운 완벽한 공격이었어.
불가 위압 마감하지 못하리. 이제 깨우치시게.
방금 공격. 다음에 다른 개체에게도 다시 해봐줄래? 영상만 남기면
깨우치시게.
다른 직원에게도 도움이 될지도 몰라.
이제 깨우치시게. 이제 깨우치시게.
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠? 아까 방망 먹고
불가 위압 마감하지 못하리. 이제 깨우치시게.
그럴 리가 손방망이에요.
이제 깨우치시게.
올바른 방법으로 개체에게 일격을 가했고 이것이 바로 정보의 힘입니다.
이제 깨우치시게.
그간의 전투 경험이 쓸모가 없지.
이제 깨우치시게.
깨달음을 얻으셔. 급한 조치였습니다.
모자를 쓰고 있는 자기에겐 방망이 대신 풍선칼이 정답이에요.
불가 위압 마감하지 못하리. 이제 깨우치시게. 이제 깨우치시게. 절묘한 하나비. 이제 깨우치시게.
We take the shadow bamboo hat and a duplicate for our reward before heading into Yield My Flesh for the next floor. Here we find the rusted hilt and broken blade while also buying bloody gadget, devil's share, and imposed weight before making it to the boss against bamboo-hatted Kim. Unlike the other fights leading up to this point, I can't in good faith say that Kim is a complete pushover. He does actually manage to stagger us, and without the music box we would be forced to rely heavily on RNG in order to survive. Unfortunately for Kim though, the music box does in fact exist and completely invalidates all of his efforts, making him just as easy as all the other fights. Truly, we are the superior bamboo hat user.
까딱하면 지겠는걸. 단테, 좀 좋은 생각 없어?
불가 위압 마감하지 못하리.
승객이 딱콩 한 방 먹였어.
효율적인 대처로 개체를 꿰뚫었습니다. 참고로 기계는 입에 발린 말 따위 쉽게 하지 않아요.
올바른 방법으로 개체에게 일격을 가해줍니다. 이것이 바로 정보의 힘입니다.
We take Lightning Rod and Melted Eyeball for a reward before heading into Thunder and Lightning for the final floor. Here we buy Finfugality and Piece of a Relationship before making it to the final boss against the Dreaming Electric Sheep. The one good thing I can say about the sheep is that he at least survives longer than 3 turns due to his stupidly high health bar. But yeah, what else can I really say? There's only so many different ways to say that every fight is stupidly easy because we're incredibly overpowered. I would have preferred to pick one of the Line 4 railways for the final floor, as they are actually somewhat difficult, but without having the rusty commemorative coin, the Pekatulim simply have too much health for Faust to stagger all of them on turn 1.
효율적인 대처로 개체를 꿰뚫었습니다. 참고로 기계는 입에 발린 말 따위 쉽게 하지 않아요.
그간의 전투 경험이 쓸모가 없진 않아. 딴데 적합한 조치였습니다.
나만 믿고 답에 집중해줘.
불가 위야 막아내지 못하리. 틈새로 바로야.
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠?
보세요, 관리자님. 다들 역경을 이겨내고 유능한 직원이 되었어요. 저 이번엔 도움이 됐을까요?
막아내지 못하리. 바로야. 절묘한 하나 되었고. 틈새로 바로야.
그 부위가 제일 거치적거릴 것이라는 걸 알고 나서는 파우스트 씨.
금방 끝내고 버스로 돌아갈 수 있겠다. 그치?
오늘 부끄럽지 않았습니다. 의를 바로 세우는 데 일조하였으니 내일은 더 떳떳이 살아갈 수 있겠군요.
And that's how I beat 10 floors of Mirror Dungeon 5 hard using only Mao Faust. This character is just stupid. I have nothing more to say about her. Goodbye.